Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamail, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. It's Shannon today. And I'm recording something on my own today, but it's something that comes up all the time. And it's usually wrapped up in like excitement and big dreams. And that is the question of, should you co-host in your retreat business? So recently I was in Los Angeles giving a keynote, the art and business of yoga retreats. And during the Q&A, someone asked me, what should I look for in a co-host? And without even thinking, I said, don't. Even though the whole room laughed, it's kind of not funny because it's not. And I'm going to tell you why. Partnerships can be so powerful, but they can also quietly wreck your retreat business if they're not handled correctly. So today I want to share my experiences with partnering, the good, the bad, and the expensive, and then the system I now use before I ever partner with anybody. Okay. Let's get into it. My first partner mistake. When I first started hosting retreats a very long time ago, I partnered with someone that I really thought was aligned. This person had told me they'd been hosting retreats and that not only could they bring into my business their experience of hosting retreats, they could bring into my business teaching other people how to host retreats. And for me, I was so new at it, I didn't feel like it was like, oh yeah, I can go out and teach somebody how to host retreats after doing it for only a year. I want to pause there because I'm in a group chat with my partners, Allison and Aaron, and we talk about how we see this all the time. We see someone who is just new on the scene of hosting retreats, and they have hosted one, maybe two, okay, maybe three, and now they're teaching people how to host retreats. And although I'm sure they have value, absolutely they have value, and absolutely they have knowledge. You gain knowledge even in your first retreat. I struggle with that as far as being any kind of expert that can coach someone when you haven't truly been through the thick of it yet. So anyway, could they be experts in something else that can contribute to retreats? Sure. And are there exceptions? Yeah. But anyway, I see that all the time. So anyway, at the beginning of my retreat business, I partnered with someone who had supposedly been doing it for a long time and told me that she could bring to my business, my overall parent company, teaching other people how to host retreats as well. And it would just be under my company name, my umbrella, because I had all the infrastructure. And she said all the right things. The energy even felt really good at the beginning. It really just seemed like a perfect match. But pretty quickly in, I started noticing some really odd details. Things just were not adding up. And then things on my Facebook account at the time, by the way, that was all there was Facebook and MySpace, but there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok, Pinterest was not even really a thing. Like it was just Facebook. And my Facebook posts and things would start to get flagged. And I'm like, for copyright stuff. And I'm like, what's happening? Also, there was a lot of content that she was coming up with, like really quickly, really polished stuff and strong checklists and just a lot of stuff was popping up. And when I'd ask her about it, she'd say, oh, I've been working on this for a really long time and now I get to share it through our platform, my company, but for the sake of this discussion, we'll say our. But something fell off. And one day I received an email in my personal inbox, which I'd never used anywhere, so I don't even know how that happened, although she did have access to that, and that's a whole other thing, that says something along the lines of, your content looks just like mine. And I checked. I was like, what is this? Who is this? And I checked, and it did. And honestly, I was devastated, because then I felt like all the boxes just started lining up, and I could tell that this person was, in essence, stealing other people's information and publishing it under my company name. And I was devastated. I confronted this person and she backpedaled. She said she used their information for research only and that it was used just for inspiration. I mean, she said a lot of things. It doesn't really matter. But at that moment, with that, and along with fraudulent credit card charges that started showing up on my credit card and my bank statements, it taught me something I honestly will never forget. It was awful, y'all. It was seriously awful. But at the end of the day, trust is not a strategy. And especially unvalidated trust, which that was me, and it's on me, and I own every part of it. I own it. It was my company. I made those decisions, and I learned a lot from that. And so the sad thing is, though, in the retreat business, your reputation is everything. And when you partner with someone, their integrity becomes tied to yours. And when she stole, in my opinion, others' intellectual property, it was my name and my business tied to it. And to this day, it still tears me up. So who you partner with really, really matters. And I really want you to think about that, because it may not be as devastating as this, where there's fraud and there's theft and there's all this crazy stuff, but it can be devastating in other ways. So another thing that I did early in is, it was a different kind of partnership that didn't go well. So it wasn't necessarily an exploding partnership. It was just like an eroding partnership. So it wasn't that they weren't fraudulent. They just didn't work, right? It started beautifully. There was strong chemistry, shared vision, big plans. But just over time, we just didn't see eye to eye. Priorities shifted and leadership styles clashed and communication became strained and uncomfortable. And so the, ending wasn't necessarily dramatic like the first one, but it was really difficult. And difficult drains our energy and our motivation and our desire and our passion. Like, it drains everything. And so I've had also partnerships that were fine, nothing terrible, nothing incredible. But I'll be honest, fine is rarely worth the complexity in a retreat business. So, because really partnerships multiply everything, the good and also the bad, like tension. It multiplies everything. And so at the end of the day, you ask yourself this question, like, should I have a co-host? And my answer to you is sometimes, and oftentimes no. If you're considering a co-host because you're nervous to do it alone, or you think it will make marketing easier, or you feel like collaboration sounds exciting, I really just want you to pause for a minute or longer, because that's not a reason to partner. That's a reason to build support systems and maybe even collaborations, which are different than true partnerships. A co-host is not an assistant. An assistant is an assistant, right? A co-host is not emotional support, nor should it be. Can you guys, of course, talk things through and talk through frustrations that you're having in your jobs and all, of course, but they're not an emotional support person or animal or anything, right? A co-host is not a shortcut to sales either. Hey guys, Shannon cutting in here real quick. Listen, the Retreat Industry Forum is happening May 14th through 17th in Denver, Colorado, and it's not your average feel-good conference. This is where bold retreat leaders, venue owners, industry pros, small business entrepreneurs come together to disrupt, challenge, and advance what's possible in our industry. You'll get cutting-edge strategy, real-world business tools, and high-level conversations about profitability, innovation, and sustainability without the fluff or kumbaya. Join myself, my friend Erin and Allison, along with other powerhouse leaders for 3 immersive days of connection, collaboration, and serious business growth, plus an exclusive VIP experience for those ready to go even deeper. Get all the details and grab your ticket now at retreatindustryforum.com. This isn't just another event, you guys. It's the movement that's reshaping the future of the retreat world. A co-host, when you really, really, really want to do a co-host and you really feel like there's alignment, it's shared leadership. And with that shared leadership, structure is required, 100%. And so I have this kind of 3-part vetting system now that I use. So I really feel like the partnerships that I have today are super solid. And I am so picky about my partnerships. As a matter of fact, a couple years ago, I was like, I'm done. I'm completely done with partnerships. That's it. It's done. What I have is what I have. And I even eliminated some and moved some things around and just really got down to like very, very minimal. And yet I did reevaluate recently and really felt such strong alignment. And that's how the Retreat Industry Forum was born. And that's for a number of reasons. But it went through my vetting system. And these partnerships that I have today, I feel like are very solid. And not because I got lucky, but because I really got disciplined and created this vetting system. And so I'm going to share that system with you so that you can decide whether or not co-hosting is the right answer for you, or even just partnering, true partnership on something, right? Whether it's a retreat or something else. So anyway, step 1 of my vetting system is, do you know their full history? And I don't mean just scrolling through their Instagram. I mean, what have they actually built? And what proof exists of that? I wish I had done that in my first partnership. Ask for testimonials, like genuine testimonials of people they've worked with and from the successes that they're claiming has happened. Maybe speak to people who've worked with them. Is their content clearly their own? Like I mentioned, in a retreat business, reputation compounds. And so if theirs collapses, yours is impacted too. So verify first, trust second. Step 2, have we met in person? This is a big one, y'all, because Zoom energy is not real life energy. So ask yourself, have you spent time together in person? Have you seen how they handle stress? Have you observed how they respond to conflict? Retreats are these high pressure environments. You are holding a container of people's feelings, emotions, beliefs. Like there's so much there, right? And so there's so much that also happens on retreats that's not always great, right? Travel delays happen, guests cry and get really emotional, logistics shift and change. And so you really want to understand how this person behaves when things are not smooth. And this alignment is not necessarily about liking each other, although that's important. It's about, can you lead well together? And I also want to mention something else about this in-person thing. This is really coming up right now while Aaron and I and Allison are building out the Retreat Industry Forum. We tested this out. Some people are like, oh, this is your first, big thing, and they're hesitant about it, or we've had some commentary about that as far as like sponsors or companies. And we're like, no, we're all very established business people now at this point. I've made my mistakes. Aaron has too, and Allison has too. And so this isn't our first rodeo. We actually tested this out in London with a small test group to see, 1, how could it market and sell and fill? But 2, how did we vibe together in this type of environment? And it was a fucking smashing success on so many levels. And so when people now come to us as we're building out the Retreat Industry Forum to be this really incredibly impactful, elevating experience for the retreat industry as a whole. It's the people that are in this space already. I'm just over the moon about y'all. I just cannot even tell you the people that are going to be in this room. But anyway, we're getting approached now by other people who are like, well, I want to collaborate with you, or I want to join on this collaboration, or how can I contribute to this collaboration? And the first thing all 3 of us say is, we have not met you in person. Come to the forum as an attendee. Let's meet. Let's feel each other out. Let's see how we connect. Is there alignment? What does the energy feel like? Come to the forum. If you want to collaborate with one of us, if you want to create magic with one of us, you need to show up. Allison and I showed up to Aaron's retreat in France, in Champagne, France. We jumped on a fucking airplane and flew to Champagne, France. I went to teach a workshop. Allison came as an attendee to this one, then she taught a workshop at another one. We showed up in that space and felt the magic. And so number 2 of my process is, have we met in person? And if you want to do collaboration with me, we've got to meet in person. Absolutely, hands down, you've got to show up, okay? All right, I'll stop beating that up. And step 3 in deciding if you want to have a co-host or a partnership are the roles and contracts crystal clear. So if you've vetted through step 1 and you've vetted through step 2, and those are solid, then now comes the actual structure. You really have to define who's handling marketing, who's handling the money, who leads sessions, what sessions, each session, what does that look like, how long is it, who makes final decisions, like if there's not an agreement, who decides, how are profits split, what happens if one person wants out, who owns the email list, who owns the intellectual property, and all of this must be in writing. By the way, friendships are not contracts. I want to say that again. A friendship is not a contract. A contract is a contract. And that contract provides clarity, which prevents resentment. Because in any business, retreats or otherwise, blurred roles lead to tension really fast. It must be in writing. Everything must be in writing. I giggle a little bit because when we were putting together our partnership contract for the forum, Erin was getting the behind the scenes going with her lawyer, and then all of us were reviewing it. And I remember shooting something. This is why I love Erin so much, you guys. I just absolutely fucking adore her. I shot her back saying, hey, we need to put in here what happens if there's a loss and not a profit. Like, how does that play out? It just needs to be outlined. And she replied back, oh, okay. See, I never plan for a loss. It just is not a thing. And she's so right. Like, that's not normally in my front of mind, but when it comes to contracts, you want to outline everything. So I love that. I love her. We did put it in there because you want to outline everything. It has to be in writing. So I don't want to beat that up too much. It has to be in writing. Make sure it goes through legal, and make sure it's so crystal clear that it's like damn near impossible for there to be any kind of blurry misunderstandings. Okay. So there are times, though, like this partnership I'm doing, when it makes sense. It might make sense for you to co-host. And when those partnerships are powerful is when you have like complementary skill sets, right? You might be entering a new geographic market. So for that market, you create this partnership, this co-hosting situation. You're scaling into larger events. Maybe you both have strong aligned audiences. But still, you go through the vetting process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Because here's the other thing. Sometimes even in those situations, a partnership isn't needed. Maybe it's a contractor. Maybe it's just hiring someone. I travel the world doing my own personal retreats that I host, and I can teach the yoga. I don't teach the yoga. I always hire someone locally, and sometimes I'll travel with someone that teaches yoga. I'll hire them as a contractor. I'll pay for their travel. I will provide room and board, and then I will also pay them as a yoga instructor. But I hire that position out. I don't partner or co-host with someone. I hire them. And so sometimes it's not a partnership. Sometimes it's a contractor. And it's important to know the difference. Like, what are you hoping to gain, and how can you equally gain in a co-hosting or partnership relationship? That's what you need to ask yourself, right? So what I tell retreat leaders now, and this is what I told the audience in LA after they stopped laughing, is if you can build and lead your retreat business solo first, do that. Do that. Prove to yourself and even future partners that you can sell it, deliver it, refine it, and profit from it. Because I feel like then, if you decide to choose to partner with someone, you're partnering from a place of strength and not dependence, because that can get really shaky, really weak, really bad, really fast. The strongest collaborations I've built have come after I built my foundation. The strongest collaborations I've had come after I built my foundation. Truly. Because partnerships can double your impact, no doubt. They can even double your income, but they can also double your problems. So choose slowly, vet very thoroughly, contract really clearly, never ignore your instincts. Your retreat business is your leadership in action, literally. So protect it, treasure it, keep it sacred. And if you want to go deeper into building this structured, vetted out retreat business, you want to build something that you now come from a place of strength, where you know how to do partnerships, pricing, contracts, marketing, long-term growth, all of that good stuff, then meet us at the Retreat Industry Forum, especially if you're wanting to do any kind of collaboration with us. Growth is powerful and it is impactful, and that room in the forum is going to be all of that. So, all right, guys, until next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at theretreatleadersplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.